Hey guys, welcome to A Little Bit of Monica. It is time for another long-awaited book haul. I have been collecting quite a few books and it's overtaken my shelves to the point where I cannot fit any more books on the shelves that I had set aside for my haul pile. So it's time to share with you all the new books that I've acquired over the last couple of months. I can't even remember when the last time was that I did this, but I have quite a few books. I think it's in the 40s here that I'm going to be adding to the shelves behind me. Some of which I have read already, others I have not, but am really looking forward to reading them down the road. So as I get started here, I did break this up just a little bit to keep myself sane with reasons why I have the books, if I just impulse bought them, pre-ordered them, or if I got them for a specific reason, like a book festival. I have all of that kind of arranged, and we are going to start off with the books that don't really fit into any specific category. These are ones that I just purchased because I liked the author in the past, because I have heard so many good things about the books that I wanted to have them on hand, or because I needed to order some extra books on Pango in order to get free shipping, and so they accidentally ended up in my cart and thus in my hands. And yes, that is exactly the case for like half of the books in this category, starting with the ones that I just mentioned, the ones that made their way into my Pango cart because I needed some extra books in order to get free shipping from a specific shop, and they happen to have books that I was already interested in, and so it was easy enough to say I would gladly buy this for like $5 and then find out what happens afterwards. The first one is Shauna Maguire's Middle Game. I've heard good things about this book. I have enjoyed books by this author before, so I figured why not get it. It is a little chunkier than I actually anticipated. I didn't realize how thick it was, but I'm excited to get this on my shelves and give it a try at some point. The next one, and this was kind of one of the reasons why I was buying from this shop in the first place, as well as a couple books that are going to fit into a different category, but I ended up buying two of Ashley Herring Blake's books from the series. There is one missing here, you will notice. I have not purchased it yet. However, it is on my list to get at some point, but I have these first two. I haven't read any of these books yet, but I have never heard a bad thing about them, which means I have high hopes that I'm going to like them. I just need to have a time where I can sit down and read all three, because I do feel like once I read one, I'm going to want to read all three. The next books that I also ordered in this Pango order were two of Richard Osman's books. I've been wanting to try these books for a while. I've heard so many things. I've heard a lot of people reading them and enjoying them, and there's book clubs dedicated to these books, and I just feel like I need to try them out. So that's how they ended up in my hands. There's really no other explanation other than that. But those are the books, other than the ones that are going to fit into a different category for an event that I went to. Those are the ones that I got from Pango. Next up is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This is Ali Hazelwood's newest romance release. This one's a little bit edgier than some of the other ones, and I pre-ordered this one from Lark and Owl Booksellers, so I have this one signed and personalized. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Lark and Owl really quick, because I had a bit of a run-in with this book that was kind of stressful. The book was supposed to be delivered and I got the notification saying this, but the book was nowhere to be found. The package did not arrive to me, and I waited like quite a while. I think I waited almost an entire week, if not a full week, after the book was supposed to have been delivered, and I emailed them and I said, do you have information? I don't know what's going on, but I never got this book. I'm assuming it was lost in the mail, and they ended up sending me a second copy. So I actually have two personalized copies of this book because they had Ali sign another one for me while she was there for their live event, and they sent it to me. And one, this just makes me want to throw all of my money at Lark and Owl because of their support and their willingness to send me another copy when I know these books are expensive and they had to go through the time of having her re-sign it. And I so appreciate that for the way that they handled the situation. I ended up getting the second copy like 2 weeks after they had sent me theirs, and the package had been ripped open. Someone else had received it and then sent it back to the mail, but somehow it ended up being delayed by a total of like 3 or 4 weeks from the original delivery date. So that's why I ended up with two copies, because the original one made its way to me way after Lark and Owl had sent me a replacement copy. So that's just a little bit of a story time for that one. The next book up is Magic Study by Maria V. Snyder. If you have been here for any length of time and you know anything about me, you know how much I love this series. I have been reading it repeatedly for the last 10 plus years of my life, and yes, this is the reprint of book 2 in the series. Book 3 is out in this new pretty redesign of the covers. I don't have Fire Study yet because I'm falling behind, but I did get a copy of Magic Study and I have Poison Study in the reprint. The whole shelf is right here. So like I have an entire Maria V. Snyder shelf to add these to, but I just love the redesign. I think they're so pretty, and I think it makes it easier for people to pick it up in this kind of reading culture because they are more appealing to the style that people are looking for. So I love it, love it, love it. Next up is, I think, my most recent purchase. It was definitely definitely an impulse buy. Like 100% I said, do I want to get this? Yeah. And I hit buy and I have no regret. It's Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. I haven't read anything from this author before, but I've heard good things about how nice and sweet and cozy this is going to be. Plus, I think this one is about people who want to open a bookstore, but I think there's a second book that just came out recently about pirates and like, hello, I want it. So yeah, I have no other explanation other than impulse buying. It's a problem. I understand that, but I couldn't help myself. The edges were just too pretty. Next up is Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. This one was a pre-order from like many months ago. It has been in my Barnes & Noble pre-order list for so long, and finally when the book was printed, I finally got my copy. I haven't read it yet, but it's really pretty. I love how reflective it is. Also, this green is just a really stunning shade. I've heard good things about this book. I have no idea what the plot is because I read the plot when I pre-ordered it and haven't thought of it since because I haven't read from this author. But I'm gonna try now, eventually, at some point. But anyway, next up is Abigail Owens, The Games Gods Play. This was one of those fancy first editions that has sprayed edges, and I jumped in on the hype. The good news is I've heard good things about this book because I have jumped in on the hype on a few other of Red Tower's fantasy, romantasy, first edition, fancy looking book, and they have not been hit. So this one made me a little bit nervous, but I've heard more good things about this one than a lot of the ones in the past that have been very hard misses for me. So I have high hopes for this, but I haven't read it yet, so eventually I need to get to that. The next one is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Now this one, to take a turn, is one that I have read already. I have the indie copy, and I read that one over the summer when I was at the beach, and I really liked the story. It's a little long, but like I still really loved it to the point where I wanted to get the official, like traditionally published copy that just came out very recently. It's just a fun time, and I can't wait to have this copy so that I can continue to collect the series as it continues. And then the last book that is kind of disconnected from any specific theme of books that I've purchased is the illustrated version of Suzanne Collins' The Hunger Games. I love The Hunger Games. I have for many years. I read the books before the movies came out, and I've just been very attached to this series. And when I found out there was an illustrated version, you can bet your bottom dollar that I pre-ordered it immediately. I knew I needed it. I cannot wait to reread the series and use that copy to do so. The next portion of my book haul is going to be books that I purchased for a specific event that I was going to. Let's get started. The first one's very easy, and also this one is a little bit different from the rest of these because most of these are from book festivals, but this one was from a book cruise that Lexi and I went on. It was just a short little cruise around the harbor, and it was a book swap. So you brought a book or two to give to the table, and then you got to take a book with you. And this is the one I selected. It's A Cat Cafe Christmas by Cody Gary. I know nothing about it. It looked cute. I'm always looking for some nice new holiday reads because I feel like I don't have a lot of Christmassy, wintry holiday books. So that one was a great addition. The next book up is one that I have purchased ahead of time for the Harrisburg Book Festival. It is Mayfly by CJ Lead. I haven't read this book yet, but I've heard really good things about this book and how creepy and weird it is. And then these next three books are ones that I purchased specifically for the National Book Festival in Washington, D.C., which was a huge collection of a ton of authors who were coming. And I realized that I didn't physically own a couple of the books for the authors that I was most excited to see. So I purchased them physically because I had read them from the library already and I wanted to get them signed. The first one is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is the first book by Abby Jimenez that I read, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Made me obsessed, and I am now 2 out of the 3 books in this kind of like world series thing that's going on. I've read 2 of them so far. The one that I haven't read is the one in the middle, but that's fine. We're gonna pretend. So I got this one so that I could get it signed at the event, and then the other one that I ended up purchasing was Just for the Summer. I already had Yours Truly, but I read Just for the Summer a couple months ago and absolutely loved it, and yeah, so I got that one to be signed. And then the next one that I got was The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. I have not read this book yet, but I have read other books from this author and I was really excited to meet them. So I picked this copy up at the festival, and it's the first edition, so it has the sprayed edges and it's just really cute and I'm excited to read it. But moving on to the last event that I bought books for, and this one is the biggest event that I bought books for, and bought books for meaning I bought books ahead of time and then also at the event, and quite a few, so bear with me. The first one is The Spite House by Johnny Compton. I was actively reading Johnny Compton's brand new Devils Kill Devils. didn't love it, but I bought a copy of The Spite House so that I could get it signed because I've heard a lot of really good things about it. I've heard people who didn't like Devils Kill Devils but still liked this one, which gives me hope. The other books that I purchased ahead of time, it's all a series, and it's An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. I was so excited because I read the first book and I loved it. So like this one is the only one I've read so far. Absolutely obsessed. The vibes were immaculate. So obviously I bought the rest of them so that I could take them to this event. And would you know, she wasn't able to make it to the event because of the hurricane. So I carted these books down there for no reason. It was disappointing, but also there was absolutely nothing to be done. While I was at this festival, I also picked up the brand new book, Air, that just came out on October 1st. They had this book a couple days early, so I did pick this up, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Also, I know this takes place in the same world as Ember, so like I want to finish that series before I jump into this one since I've already started the series. Next up is a whole list of books that I haven't read yet, but I'm really excited to, and all of these books are signed by the authors, so that is even more exciting. The first one is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This one I have heard so many good things about, but also the fact that this is going to be a very emotional read, so I have to be in the right mindset to go into it, but it sounds absolutely stunning. Like, people have said that the writing is just so splendid, and I can't wait. I honestly can't wait, even though I know it's going to be an emotional time. Next up, I got 2 books by Anita Kelly. I have not read any books by this author, but again, when I hear good things and people can convince me to give them a shot, of course I will. So yes, I got these books signed, even though I haven't read anything from this author yet. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. They are both romances, and I love a romance, so you know what? I'm here for it. Next up is Masquerade by Oo Sangayami, and I was absolutely so impressed with the pitch that was given, 1, at the table for where this book was presented, and 2, at the panel that this author was a part of. It was such a fun panel full of a bunch of fantasy and horror authors, but the way that this author talked about the book just made it sound so incredibly deep and moving, and also really fun for a historical fantasy vibe. So I was mostly like enamored by how beautiful this cover is. That is originally why I ended up picking up this book, but then like hearing the author talk about it just makes you feel even more attached to the story. So yeah, like I have no regret. Next up is Worst Case Scenario by TJ Newman. This one is the second book that I've read from this author. I read Drowning. I didn't love it, but I've heard that this book is really exciting, and I feel like this one has some more promise for me, so I'm excited for this. The next book up is one that I did not meet the author, but I picked up this book from the table, and it is signed. It's A Tempest of Tea. I honestly am a little bit wary of this one. I feel like I've heard enough mixed reviews that I don't know what to feel. I know some people have really liked it and some people who really were bored, so I don't know how I'm gonna feel, but I got a copy. It's not personalized, so it kind of gives me a little bit more freedom to read it and see how I feel about it in the end. And now I left the best for last because the next 2 books were for the keynote speaker, and I made sure to read book 1 before going to the event, and I absolutely became obsessed with it, like fully obsessed. And part of getting into the event, the book was the ticket, so I ended up getting both books from the event because one was the ticket and the other one I just wanted to get the new special edition that had sprayed edges, and it was TJ Klune's The House in the Cerulean Sea, and then Somewhere Beyond the Sea as the sequel. I loved this book so much. It was so cute, so precious. The fantasy, the cozy, the found family, everything was so cute, and it makes me so excited to read this book. I have not read the sequel yet, but I'm very excited because this book, especially the audio, was so good. And so yes, I have both. They're so beautiful, they're precious, and I cannot wait to get to the sequel at some point. Now, we are in the final portion of my book haul. These are all of these special edition books that I've received over the last couple of months from the different book box subscriptions that I have, but we're gonna go through them pretty quickly. The first one is Evernight by Illumicrate, The Eyes of the Best Part by Monica Kim. I ended up really liking it. It's a pretty short horror, and it's got a lot of things about eyeballs. This cover, stunning. Absolutely stunning. Also kind of creepy, and my husband definitely saw the book and said, "What are you reading?" So yeah. Next up is the Afterlight romance books. First, we have The Breakup Pact by Emma Lord. I don't know anything about this, but it is so cute. I mean, hello, the pastels, the edges, everything about this looks adorable. So even if I don't know the plot, but it's so pretty. Next up is Hot Summer by Elle Everhart. I also haven't read this one, but I am excited. I think this one is about a dating show. I think it's like Bachelorette style dating show, but I am gonna have to find out for myself. The next book is a duplicate of one I've already talked about in this video, but I got the Afterlight version of The Pairing by Casey McQuiston, and again, haven't read it, but I really do love this copy. My only issue is that it's so much bigger than the other one. It's so much bigger than the other ones, but it's fine. It's fine. It's still pretty, and I'm gonna love it anyway. Next up are my Illumicrate fantasy books from the regular book boxes. The first one is The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean. Again, haven't read it, but this book is really pretty, and also, if I remember correctly, the inside cover of this was like so pretty. Honestly, I think that's one of my favorite things about these special editions is finding out what the naked hardback looks like, because if you have a pretty naked hardback, like I am all in, honestly. I absolutely love it. Next up is Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. It felt like it was fitting for kind of like the October fall season, so I threw this in my TBR, and I'm really excited to get to it because I need to be getting through some of these books. These are my Illumicrate ones right back here, all of my special editions, and honestly, I haven't read most of them, so I have this full intention of actually reading my special editions in the next couple of months to get through as many as I can, including this next one, which is my last Illumicrate book, and this was the most recent one from September, A Dark and Drowning Tide by Allison Saft. It's kind of hard to read because of how reflective it is, but like, okay, moment to appreciate how pretty this is. And the inside has like a diagram and like explanation of a couple of the creatures that are going to be in this book, which is exciting. I always love when the end pages are directly tied and like helpful to what's going to happen in the book. So I am very excited for this book. And also, this might be one of my favorite designs when it comes to one of the Illumicrate books. I just am really obsessed with the color scheme and just the actual graphic. I just think is so pretty on this one. Now, next up is the only Owlcrate book that I have for this haul because I've been skipping a couple of months, but The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I've heard wonderful things about this book and how cute and cozy it is, and I really want to read it. I just haven't had a chance to, but I've had this for a while, for a couple months. I think this was probably like June or July, and yeah, I just haven't had a chance to get to it, so I'm gonna hopefully be adding that to my TBR soon, but we'll find out. Next up is all of my FairyLoot books. Now, I get FairyLoot YA and adult, so this stack is even bigger than some of my other ones, but this first book wasn't even one of the monthly book boxes. This was the When the Moon Hatched special edition, because if you like a book, you buy it in multiple copies, and this is now my third copy of this book. But it's so pretty, I don't even mind. I mean, hello. It is stunning. The artwork is absolutely gorgeous. I am obsessed. I just feel like this book went above and beyond at being just spectacularly beautiful. So yes, this is my third copy of When the Moon Hatched. Don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me. Next up, we have a couple of the monthly books, and I'm gonna be real, I don't remember which months any of these books were, so your guess is as good as mine. First up is Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Barron. This one is like a Snow White retelling. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Plus, I love the inside of the dust jacket. I just think it's so pretty, and it's so fitting that it looks like a fairy tale storybook when it's a fairy tale retelling. It just works, okay? Next up is Long Live Evil by Sarah Reese Brennan. The cover looks so cool. Like, this is really pretty. And again, we have some absolutely breathtaking artwork. Plus, I love the edges on this one as well. Definitely, I think FairyLoot is coming in at the top of the designs for me. I love their artwork. I feel like their books are just always like top of the line beautiful. The next book is The Girl with No Reflection by Keisha Chow. I hope I pronounced that right. Like, I feel like I'm running out of words to say that isn't just how pretty, because I don't remember the plot of any of these books. I get them in the monthly box and promptly forget anything that's going to happen, but I still think they are freaking beautiful. So yeah, I am gonna talk about it. Also, this one's cute because it's called The Girl with No Reflection, and the cover is a mirror and the back is shattered, which I think is just super cool. The details that go into some of these designs is just so brilliant. It's just so brilliant. Next up is The God and the Gumiho by Sophie Kim. Again, I do not know the plot, but I do know that it looks really pretty and the edges are some of my favorite colors. And again, we have some great artwork, and let's take a peek at a coffee cup on the front cover. I don't know how that's going to be relevant, but I'm assuming it will be, and it makes me excited to find out. So yeah, eventually I have holds on all of these, and eventually they will come in so that I can actually read all of these books. This next one is The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song. This one I pre-ordered the first edition, so I have already read this book and absolutely freaking loved it. It was so much fun. It's kind of like a Mulan retelling, and this book itself, absolutely stunning, but wait for it, okay? Wait for it. Look at how pretty this is. This is without a doubt my favorite element of this book. The fact that we have such contrasting colors between the dust jacket and the naked hardback, and this design, the foiling is just so pretty. And the fact that I loved this book just makes it even better. So like, you could say I'm obsessed and you'd be absolutely correct. But now we move on to the last 3 books on my book haul. And these ones are very long awaited because I got the Bookish Box Darkly subscription a long time ago, and for a while they were very, very far behind on their monthly deliveries, and I didn't get the first couple books for like ever. Like, it was so long before I got my first delivery. But I am happy to report that I finally got them, and I'm here to share them with you now. The first one is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I'm very excited with how absolutely breathtaking this is. I know I said before that FairyLoot was like my favorite design, but Bookish Box has something very special that just feels, I don't even know, it feels special. It feels beautiful. And it just makes me very excited to read through this book. Also because I've heard so many incredible things. Now I want to give a quick shout out to the naked hardcover because like I said, it's one of my favorite elements, and this book, like, I would keep this naked hardcover on my shelf on its own. It's stunning. I know I've said that word before, but like, it is. And the reversible dust jacket is also so beautiful, and it matches the book. So like, could it have been more perfect? Probably not. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say probably not. Makes me very excited. Next up is actually a single book that has 2 books inside, The Devil in the Deep Blue Sea by Stacey Marie Brown. So this actually has, like, first of all, a stunning naked cover, but it has 2 books, Silver Tongue Devil and Devil in Boots. Both of these books are within the confines of this one singular print. So it kind of like splits in the middle and then goes into book 2. And honestly, I think this is a really clever design. I think it's really pretty, and it's one way to make the story feel a little bit more, like, make the whole setup feel a little bit more original. I love this design work. I just think everything about this is so pretty. Do I know a single thing about these books? No, not even a little bit. But with how pretty it is, yeah, I will absolutely be reading it at some point. And now we come to the very, very last book of my book haul. And I saved this one for last for a reason, because I have already read this book. And to this day, even though I read this for the first time in January, this book remains to be in my top 5 books of the year. And by top 5, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's tied for first place right now because I just can't decide between the books. But Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. I loved this book. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say after I read this book, I thought of nothing else for like weeks on end. And I still think about this book regularly and how unhinged it was. I just absolutely loved it. So this is one of the reasons why I signed up for Darkly in general, because I knew that this was one of the books they were doing and I so badly wanted to get on their list in time, and I did, and it makes me so happy. So I have this one. The edges are designed, of course, and then we have the murder board on the inside covers, plus a really, really pretty like metallic foiling that is just so pretty, and it really makes the book feel like a romance despite how absolutely unhinged and dark it is. It's so violent, but like the pink, it just is the perfect balance for what this book is, and it makes me very happy. So I am so glad that I have this copy of this book. Also, the reversible dust jacket, we'll just take a moment to appreciate this because, again, absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous. I love it so much, and that brings me to the end of all of the books that I have hauled. I think I counted earlier, there was like 48, which is, I think, my biggest book haul so far, which I think I say every time that it's the biggest one, and that's because they keep getting bigger. Oops. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so I know that I said that I had like 48 books in this book haul, but it turns out that in the time from when I filmed my book haul to when I finished editing, I accidentally acquired quite a few more books, and I figured why not just throw them in here? Since I'm already doing a book haul, I might as well show you all the other ones that I got. So we're gonna expand the book haul just a little bit more and add on, I don't know, maybe like 18 more books. And since this is kind of a mini add-on, I guess I'll break it down a little bit in similar way to what I did before. I'm going to start with the ones that are just because I have no self-control. I ended up pre-ordering Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This book I have heard endlessly good things about, and people have said that they think I will really like it. And so when I saw that it had a pre-order for this beautiful copy from Barnes & Noble, I went ahead and jumped on there and got it. I don't really know a whole lot about this other than it's romantasy, and I'm probably going to become obsessed. So what else can I say? Next up is The Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. This is just a really pretty first edition. The book was very, very on sale for Prime Day. I don't love buying books from Prime, but for like $8, I was like, okay, I can't resist how pretty this copy is. So I ended up picking this one up. I don't know the plot, but I ended up reading The Darkness Within Us by this author just like a couple months ago, and I loved it. So I figured why not give this author another try. And then the other books that I ended up buying from the Prime Day sale was the entire Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. These were all super, super on sale, and I figured why not, because I have been told by every single person who's read these books that I will like them. And so I definitely just gave in to the temptation and purchased them, because to get all 5 books for a really, really good price, it was like too good to pass up. And yeah, I think I need to put myself on another book buying ban. Next up, we're going to talk about the books that I got from the Harrisburg Book Fest. These ones are books that I picked up at the event, or they were tickets for the event, because sometimes buying the ticket is the book that they are talking about. We'll start off with the Fantasy Night. It was a romantasy theme with Olivia Blake and Hannah Nicole Mayer. I already have Hannah Nicole Mayer's books, so I didn't need to pick up any of those, but I didn't have anything by Olivia Blake, so I picked up the Atlas 6 because I've heard so many good things about this. I know this is her most well-known book series, and so I made sure to get my hands on a copy of this. And then I also picked up Masters of Death, which I heard was really, really good. I heard people talking about it when I was standing in line, and it has really pretty edges, so I figured why the heck not? And because I was getting them signed, I was like, you know, what are you gonna do? So I ended up getting those from the Romantasy Night. And then 2 days later was the 50 years of Stephen King celebration. No, Stephen King was not there, but we had 4 horror authors that were there to talk about how King inspired their writing. And so of course I picked up some books while I was there. The only person I didn't get books for was Chuck Wendig. I have some regret. I really do. However, the first book that I ended up getting was my ticket to the event, which was Richard Chizmar's Memorials. I loved hearing Richard Chizmar talk about Stephen King too, because he has co-written with him, so he had a lot of more like in-person kind of interactions, and that was really special. The next one up is American Rapture by CJ Lead. I'm really excited because it sounds absolutely unhinged and amazing, and I really liked Mayfly, so I can't wait to get to this one. And then finally, the other author that was there was Katrina Ward, and I love Katrina Ward's writing, but I also went to her event at the same store last year and got my book signed, so I didn't have any books for her. But then I saw that they had these 2 standing next to the checkout counter. So yeah, it was kind of an impulse buy. But The Girl from Raw Blood and Little Eve are like the only 2 that I didn't already have. So I figured why the heck not? I was going through the signing line anyway, so I picked up these 2 to add to my collection. I have no regrets, even though it was quite a lot. Next up, we're going to do the special edition books. The first one is my FairyLoot, The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. I love how pretty this is. We'll take a look at these sprayed edges, the front, the back. It always has some beautiful end pages. I don't know anything about the plot, so sorry, I can't tell you that. But the other book I also got from FairyLoot was Andrea Stewart's The Gods Below. And again, I know nothing about this, but it looks really, really pretty. And then of course we have some more stunning end page designs that just make FairyLoot books look so freaking pretty. Not to mention, I have to just shout out the Naked hardcover. This one does not disappoint. I really do love it. And the reversible dust jacket. This book was just so pretty, and I really hope that I end up liking it when I eventually read it. But now I have one final thing that I have to show you that I acquired. I already shared this on my Instagram, but they deserve to be shown on here too because they finally arrived after like almost a year having ordered them last fall. It's the Bookish Bach Poison Study set. This is the first 3 books in the series by Maria V. Snyder, and I absolutely love this series. I love these books, and I love that I finally got the special editions. I think they are absolutely stunning. Like, I'm obsessed. The edges, everything about these books, the end pages, and the insides and reversible dust jacket. Like, I just love these books, and because it is the first 3, I have all 3 of them here. So the first one's Poison Study, and then we have Magic Study book 2. So pretty. I have some closer up pictures on my Instagram, and then I think this one is actually my favorite cover of the 3. I'm literally obsessed with the flames, the fire, and the bat on the back because the bat is a very important part, but also these end pages. Like, this book is definitely my favorite design. I'm obsessed. Like, hello. So anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on these because I definitely talk about these books all the time, but after waiting an entire year for these books, they had a lot of delays in the like manufacturing and the shipping, everything. They had an issue with the dust jacket at one point, so like I'm just so lucky that they finally showed up and now I can add them to my shelves. I'm very excited. But anyway, that's all the books that I have to share, and I am definitely not adding anything else to this book haul, but like 48 plus like 18, yeah, like how I said, this was definitely the longest book haul that I've done. I have in fact made that even more true than I thought I would. But anyway, that's all the update that I have to add in here, so let's get back to the original programming. I hope that you liked seeing all of these books that I'm adding to my collection. I would love to hear your thoughts if you have read them already, or if you're also excited to read them but haven't yet. I would love to hear all of your thoughts in the comments. Please let me know. If you liked this video and you want to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button so you can follow along with everything I've got coming, especially because I do plan to be reading quite a few of these books in the coming months, and I will be telling you all about it when I do. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I really, really hope that I will see you in the next one. Bye!